So the second phase of the aircraft mode has been launched. Last time we were flying biplanes. Today we will be flying World War II warplanes. Bombers, fighters, interceptors. I think I will enjoy interceptors the most. I personally like something fast and maneuverable. Now I would say something about the controls right away. For some reason the controls for some of the planes feel a bit odd. They sometimes do feel a little bit clunky. No, not all aircraft. I think only one has that problem, but the other planes that I've been using didn't really feel that weird. But with that being said, let's jump in and let's see what this is all about. Now I'll try to fly all 4 of the currently available planes, including the bomber. The bomber gameplay can be actually quite interesting, since the bomber has its own objective. Now I usually try to hunt down and I usually try to shoot down other fighter planes or bombers. That's basically what I'm usually doing when I start. Now you might notice something quite funny with the models of the planes. You can actually see through. The textures are kind of glitching through for some reason, and you can actually see the interior of the aircraft inside of the. You can see the interior of the plane. Not really sure why, but that's a graphical bug that wasn't. I think that bug wasn't present in the previous test, but now the bug is actually on these World War II planes. I don't know, to be honest. Now you do have some fighters that do have bombs and rockets, and this is one plane where the controls for it don't seem to be responding well. To be honest, it could very well be my own internet. I actually think it's my own internet, but haven't had any problems with other three planes that we have. And one thing I noticed, they definitely have reduced the points that you get from destroying ground targets. However, that doesn't stop players from actually destroying ground targets more than to focus on shooting on the planes. I usually go focus the planes. The ground targets are for bombers. But in my experience from my previous battles, the whole team is usually focusing on the ground targets. No one is focusing on the air targets, and that can be quite troublesome if you want to win. I think I only have like one victory out of like 10 battles that I've played. Only one victory, because that's just how it is. Now when it comes to aiming, I don't know if they did something with the sensitivity, but it feels like they messed up the sensitivity again for the 8th or 9th time so far. My sensitivity has been changed, even though I did set it up the way I like it, but apparently I have to do it again. As for this particular plane, the control and the overall maneuverability is not too bad, it's average. But the P-51, for example, I don't know, I don't like that. I really don't like that thing. I really don't like how that thing is flying. It's when you try to turn, it doesn't turn that well, and the G-forces basically make your whole screen go black and you can't really see anything. The La-5, for example, doesn't suffer from that problem, and this little plane here can turn very sharply, and might actually be the best aircraft of the current test. This might be the best aircraft of the test. Very maneuverable, good cannon, Doesn't have any missiles or rockets, but it is very good for air-to-air battle. For air-to-air battles. And I prefer this thing over the previous. Actually, the blue one, I think the blue plane is okay, but the P-51, I don't know, I just could not get used to it. My least favorite testing aircraft is the P-51, even though it has some good machine guns and overall very good firepower, but I don't know, wasn't able to really fly it properly. This, for example, I'm pretty decent with this little thing. This thing does work really well. And the bomber, as you will see later, the bomber, well, you can't really expect good points with the bomber at the end of the match, since bombers are usually there to focus on the ground targets. And the bomber that we have in the test over here doesn't have any forward-facing machine guns or missiles. You only have bombs and you have the AI machine gunners. I haven't noticed the AI machine gunners do much. Very easy to dodge their machine guns. So that's one thing to note. I remember in the PC War Thunder, I remember when the machine gun turrets were like aimbot basically, you were not able to get close to them at all. They would burn down your aircraft in a second from over a kilometer away. It was a long time ago. One little drawback for this little plane is the fact that it doesn't have a lot of ammo. You will be running out of ammo quite often with this. Is that bomber like quite literally chasing me around? That's kind of funny. Yeah, that bomber is chasing me around. I have 96 bullets left. And yes, there we go. When you get behind bombers, they are very easy kills. Bombers are like definitely feels like the weakest plane at the moment. At least when it comes to air, but they are important since you do have ground targets to destroy with them, and they are usually the ones who carry the big bombs. It's like 1,000 kilogram bombs on the current bomber that we have, and some smaller bombs on the other fighter bomber that is still available. But for the most part I have been flying this thing since, again, I ended up enjoying this the most. Ended up being the most usable one, that's for sure. Although my controls are, again, not that good for whatever reason. I love when I set up a control one way and then the next patch those controls are simply gone. But this is going to be a victory. Not a good one, but still a victory. Again, at one point luck is still the most important thing, so if you don't have luck, well, then there is nothing much you can do. Especially when you fire like 300 shells into a aircraft and it still keeps flying, which happens. And there's the P-51. See how badly this thing turns? I don't know. Sometimes it turns, sometimes it doesn't. In this case, it doesn't turn that well. How many hits did it take? And still flying, and it's still flying, and still flying, and still flying. After popping a couple hundred shells, yep, it's still flying. was a victory, not a good one. I don't know how that thing kept flying after being shot like 500 times, but okay. Let's go to the next, and I will be flying the La 5. I don't know where. Hopefully I did include the bomber gameplay. I think I did. Yeah, I think I did, probably later on in the video. But yeah, I have been primarily flying this thing and have been enjoying it the most so far. I would say the bomber is definitely very enjoyable as well, since with the bomber you have to just focus on the ground targets and you don't have to worry about the air targets. Surprisingly, usually in my bombing runs I'm not engaged by the enemy fighters, but I haven't had a very good match with it because the team doesn't do basically anything, unfortunately, and somehow we always lose the ground targets faster than the enemy does. I'm also trying not to be too fast, trying to maintain a decent distance from the enemy, and as well trying to not overshoot and go in front of them. That happens. That's a trick that you can use. If you abruptly slow down the engine power, you can make the aircraft that's chasing you go in front of you and then you kill them. Not something I was able to achieve with the P51. I don't know, that P51, after I finish recording this, I'll definitely give it a shot to play a little bit more, but I'm not really a big fan of that aircraft at the moment. We'll see if I can do something with my controls. Ping seems okay, package loss seems okay, but still feels like I'm playing with high ping for some reason. Haven't seen... I don't think we have those mechanics yet where your aircraft can break apart if you go too fast. We do have air brakes. Some of them have air brakes, but I haven't really seen a plane break apart if you're flying too fast, at least not now. We will see if that will be added. I think it will be added down the road at one point. I'm just not really sure when that will happen, but it's safe to say that we can expect more game modes to be added. Also, aiming seems to be very nice. I think I should start to aim a lot more, even though aiming while flying isn't really that easy to do. But I should start to aim a lot more when I'm engaging aircraft like that. I might be able to be more accurate, but at the same time, usually the problem that I'm experiencing right now and throughout this video will be usually the sensitivity. When it needs to be slow, it's too fast, but when it needs to be fast, it's too slow. So that's something I kind of fixed last time in the previous test. But apparently the controls are not applied for this test, so while recording this I completely forgot to look at the sensitivity, but definitely is changed. Now that's a bomber. I'm trying to approach it, trying to get close to it and kill it, because usually those bombers that are floating around and bombers that no one shoots are the bombers that will kill your base. I have to say they're such an easy target. Bombers are very easy prey. Those machine gunners on the bombers right now in this beta test are not really that good at all, since you can just easily just approach them and kill them. There is no threat of those machine gunners destroying you that easily. They usually miss completely. That's kind of funny when you think about it, but they usually completely miss your aircraft. Or they hit but do barely any damage. And you can't take control of the machine gunners. At least at the moment you can't. It will be funny when you actually can take control of them and when you can aim. A first-person perspective will be very awesome, and with gyro controls, I would say the first-person perspective will be very playable and will be very fun. That's one thing that I would say the game kinda needs now. That's another bomber on fire. And I also ran out of ammo. I did want to ram it, but at the last second I decided against it. However, it seems the bomber might have crashed. I did kill something there. But I'm playing around with the frame rate, trying to figure out if... I mean, so far the heat output isn't that bad at all. I'm able to play with ray tracing and max sometimes without any problem, which is amazing actually. As I said before, with the air mode, you don't really have to worry about the heat. It's probably the easiest mode that we have, easiest mode to run on the game at the moment. So heat and heat output, you don't have to worry about that while playing planes. After all, most of the time you will be aiming upwards away from the ground, so it's not going to be too taxing. And of course have to remember that my frame rate is heavily reduced by the recorder because I'm recording in some very nice resolution. But when I don't record and when I play normally, I get about 120 FPS, which is actually really nice and really solid frame rate, so not worried about the FPS at all, since it runs really well. Well, at least so far it runs really well, we will see. I'm curious if they will have like a phase 3 of the close beta test where they add jet aircraft. There has to be a phase 3 with jets, and that will be very fun to check out. I actually cannot wait to see how the jets will play. That's probably the next thing after this test. Close the beta test with jets. I definitely think that's gonna be phase 3, since they will have to test out the mechanics of jets and missiles, guided missiles and stuff like that also have to be added. So it definitely looks very interesting as of now, and that's gonna be an epic failure. Of course, win or lose doesn't matter much. I love how that fight took like 200 shots in the face and nothing happened. I can also say they kind of changed the overall, like the maps and stuff. I see more detail now on the ground while flying. It's a very nice little change, really. Not necessarily a much needed, but not necessarily much needed change to have like different grounds and stuff. But it's definitely nice to have a more detailed game, that's for sure. But overall it does look very good. The game overall looks very nice. And no damage, of course. My aircraft does no damage when I'm shooting at the enemy. Even though they take like 70 shells in the face, nothing happens. That was also a big fail. Because if you have no luck, well, that's what happens. Okay, let's go and play one more. And this time I'll take the bomber. So, the bomber. What do you do with bombers? Well, primarily you destroy ground targets. This bomber only has bombs, and I think it has like 2 machine guns, one at the top and one, I think it should be below the aircraft. Actually, well, I don't see any. Yeah, only one at the back of the aircraft. So big plane. When you spawn with the bomber, you spawn at about 13 kilometers in the air, which is about what you would expect. After all, high altitude bombing is what you will be doing, and the altitude kind of does save you from being swarmed by fighters. You can fly very high with these things, and the fighters will have to work to get to your altitude. Of course, I am trying to speed up the whole thing here, and I'm trying to move as fast as I can towards the objective, since I don't really trust my own team to pull with the score there, so I have to do what I can. Bombers are definitely the ATGM boxes of the aircraft mode, because I think they're the easiest aerial vehicle that you can fly. Much easier to fly this than to fly, let's say, a fighter. And I actually had more fun with this thing than with the P-51. So that's kind of funny when you think about it. But slowly creeping up to the first base there. The bases are marked with the red marker there. And the base does have hit points that you can actually track when the bombs drop. And there is 1, 2, 3, 4 different objectives. Now the pointing system of the point system for the bomber here, I don't think that you can actually pull a very big score right away with them, especially since they're slower, and in most cases they will not be suitable for air-to-air combat. But when you destroy a base, I think the base destruction does give you a lot of points, so that's one thing I need to find out while I'm at it here. Doing some loops so I can float above the base while the bombs are reloading. And now let me do a little dive. No, obviously not a dive bomber, so the accuracy with the bombs is not going to be that good, but going to see how much points I'll get. Well, not bad actually, not bad. You do get some good points with the bomber after all, but you have to focus on the ground targets. If you don't focus on the ground targets, well, no points for you. Ironically and surprisingly, I am not disturbed yet, so I can fly towards the second location there and drop the bombs. Hopefully the bombs will be reloaded by the time I actually manage to get there. Should not be that long actually. 400 km/h seems to be like the average cruising speed, although I'm going a little bit slower at 370. Bombs almost ready, and time to drop the bombs on the second objective. Well, as I mentioned before, the team isn't doing much. Well, I'm not doing much either, but I'm doing what I can do. Since I'm in a bomber, it's a different objective. So yeah, absolutely no luck with the air mode myself at the moment. Rarely any victories. The first match that I did play was basically the only victory I have had so far, and I don't think that's gonna change like ever, since that's just how my luck is. Let me do some more bombing. Well, maybe I'm not going to have enough time to complete the second bombing run. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. The match will end before I can get to the destination. Oh well. But this is basically how the bombers do play, and this is basically what you should expect from the bombers. Definitely not boring. If you want to play something more aggressively, then definitely the fighters are the way to go. But the bombers, in their own way, are not bad at all. I can actually get behind the bombers very easily. They're not too bad to fly. And well, with that being said, that would be it for today. I'll be playing the air mode a lot now, since I want to see if I can get some good games and good battles. But with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. If you would like to support me, feel free to like and subscribe. And with that being said, stay safe, fly safe, and as always, I'll see you next time.